art has been getting cheaper, faster, and easier since the printing press, which creatively destroyed an entire class of monks who painstakingly hand-copied books with quill and parchment. If machines can make images as well as we can, then why shouldn't they? What's the issue?
On the other hand, there was the detractors or the traditionalists, like the famous poet Charles Baudelaire, who wrote, "If photography is allowed to stand in for art, it will corrupt it completely thanks to the stupidity of the multitude." So, us.
AI art will force artists to stop making art for the sake of making pretty or cool images. AI art will force artists to make specifically artworks designed to be engaged with, designed to contribute to a social conversation, designed to communicate.
And my suggestion is, don't focus too much on the intellectual stuff, or you might miss out on what the art really has to offer. The philosopher Susan Sontag says we should stop trying to interpret art, stop trying to get it, and just experience it, like Duchamp's fountain.
Retinal art, as opposed to the art which appeals to the mind, is an art which only appeals to the eye. It's an art that doesn't ask the viewer to engage, it only requires a passive stare from the viewer to appreciate it. You can create art without purpose, you can do it for fun just for the sake of making it. But as we've seen, some might say that this feeling of freeing yourself by not having a purpose, doing art just for the sake of doing art and nothing more, if that is even possible, lacks an engagement with the world, an engagement with life. Making art because it looks cool and nothing more, making art because it's nice, making art because it's art, is absolutely and utterly boring.
But art isn't a statement or a question. If it was, the artist would just write it down. Art isn't philosophy with pictures. It's art. So turn off brain and tune in to the aesthetic experience.
Many artists, just to afford a living, just to justify their existence, need to make art they don't necessarily like or necessarily want to do. That makes for soulless art. What makes art soulless isn't the fact that it's generated by a machine, but the fact that it's commodified.
Art and creativity are bound to living, to feeling. Art is the voice of a person, and whenever AI art is anything more than aesthetically pleasing, it's not because of what the AI did. It's because of what a person did. Art is by humans, for humans.
But I've now arrived at the conclusion that the AIs that we use today do understand what they're doing, if not very much of it.
Art is the great stimulus to life. If our purpose is to make artworks, how can you fulfill that purpose?
So really the question is, what can be an artist? What makes it so that something that's not human can be an artist?
In Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl writes, "I wish to stress that the true meaning of life is to be discovered in the world rather than within man or within his own psyche, as though it were a closed system. I have termed this the self-transcendence of human existence. It denotes the fact that being human always points and is directed to something or someone other than oneself, be it a meaning to fulfill or another human being to encounter. The more one forgets himself, by giving himself to a cause to serve or another person to love, the more human he is and the more he actualizes himself. The soul not as something to be born with, but as something to be constructed. Some would even say it is in this act that we find the true meaning of our lives."
you.